Hello, friends. This is I, Samuel, and welcome back. Today, I thought I'd try something a little bit different and talk to my good friend Tjalle about the lived autistic experience in a more podcasty fashion, less script, less facts, and just kind of get into the nice. Tjalle is both autistic and has ADHD, so he's the extra neurospicy. And take it
Yeah.
away, Tjalle. Have fun.
Well, thank you, and thank you for welcoming onto the show. Show yeah, this thing. It's a fun opportunity. I'm sure we'll get a lot of stuff talked about. Um, to start the conversation off, no, shall we go down to the real thing? Should we talk about the childhood
And what is
experience?
well, well,
We-
we've done listen out every single trauma of like constant
yeah.
rejection and being
Sure.
misunderstood and just complete and utter just like chronic loneliness and like thinking maybe you're trans and just not actually being trans and just the whole kind of
Yeah, look. There's a lot of stuff that backs that up. A lot of
oh no,
cohabitation.
I'm doing a whole video on the kind
Yeah,
of link between LGBT communities and autistic experience, being autistic and ADHD, and that'll come out soon. But
yeah.
that's what one
Look,
of the points I have
looking
to do proper research on, get my facts right. I
forward.
like the other videos.
I like our autistic brothers and sisters and all those in between out there in the queer community. Respect. Yeah, it's all about, you know what, yeah, 'cause I mean being autistic, it really is. It's a weird one where I remember secondary school, or and when I was getting diagnosed in the first year of secondary school, and we were talking about it, and what you're sort of told, because at that time it was Asperger's, or Asperger's. It was it
Why
was
do you
still.
do the South Park pronunciation?
I can't help
What?
it. I can't help it. It was. It was.
Like, hey
It was.
guys, take the piss out of ourselves. It's fun.
Yeah, it was the you have to at this point. You know, it was
I'm
the
so
Asperger's
serious right now.
syndrome, and which is now
Burgess,
Asperger's. Now,
you're not American.
how do you say it then? How do you As-
Burgess.
Asperger's,
It's a German name, Asperger.
As, Asperger, Asperger's. Yeah, and I can't
It's
pronounce it.
Asperger syndrome. It's got an apostrophe. The S is an apostrophe. It's
All right.
Asperger syndrome.
Asperger syndrome.
Asperger. Yeah,
Asperger's. So, yeah, but
yeah.
which, yeah, all leading up to the point was,
We're
thank
doing
God it's
12
not
years
called that
later. You
anymore.
can now pronounce the diagnosis. This is good. Good
There we
sign.
go. So you're told, I remember being told, it's like you're either different in a negative way, or you're different in a weirdly hyper positive way. Right? You can be Sheldon Cooper, or you can be the kid rocking in the corner, holding his head in his hands and singing "Mamma Mia," to himself in a screeching accent. You're like, this is the two choices you get.
I feel like
As an
we're like
autistic
a few
kid.
minutes in, we're engaging in harmful stereotypes, which is the one thing we're trying to fight. We're like, we're
But
doing neurodivergent right, but here's this harmful stereotype. It's much fun.
Yeah, but
Like,
that is the lived experience. That's what we're taught. You're either like, you're dysfunctional or you're functional. I mean, and we have that now. People still talk about sort of high functioning autistic and low functioning. We don't have Asperger's anymore, which is like the other term meant for like high functioning. But even that, I mean, it's still a
well,
a
the
a,
whole
a
thing
a
about high functioning,
non-nuanced.
functioning, and that kind of idea of the spectrum from being like very intelligent to
Yeah,
very unintelligent, um, is basically, as I was talked about before, it's based around Nazi ideology about how useful
yeah,
you are to the state. Where actually the spectrum is just about how people are different in a variety of different ways and have different strengths and different weaknesses based on different types of traits.
yeah.
And that still is not understood within the concept. It's either most autistic to normal or high functioning to low functioning, and
Mm.
neither one of those things is representative of what's actually happening.
Yeah, I mean, really, when it comes to life, for high function and low function, it's like low functioning is, oh no, people have to behave more differently around you, or compensate more. Oh, that's just more effort. High functioning is like, okay, they can act like one of us, so it's fine. That
I
that's
mean,
that's what the difference is.
I don't know about you, but after if you're considered high functioning, like people are less willing to like make allowances for you actually. And the thing is social
Yeah,
interactions can be just as hard. It's just that you can try more.
Yeah, you run into that trap where you sort of like you're able to mask it, right? You go and then you have having to perform a lot more. But you already have people have the expectation that you're another one of those. We're one of those motherfuckers. You can behave like like any of us, but you still feel that social exhaustion. You still feel that burnout, and people will not be as understanding when you end up getting burnt out and you don't explain it to them because you're busy masking, you're busy trying to be
back in
normal.
kind of 2021, 2022, I basically didn't. I did not realize I was masking anymore. It was just automatic confidence, but it was automatic, and that basically led to a situation where I was constantly burnt out underground.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it until basically like kind of late spring, early summer 2022, where I just fell apart completely. And like I know like my whole point of this channel is to go like the army should take us, and therefore saying negative things about autistic people is not helping my case. But the thing is that it is true that the fact that part of having to conform to society all the time basically destroys your mental health in a very well. It makes you depressed, makes you paranoid, makes you anxious, makes you and if you do this for long enough without stopping, if you constantly push yourself further and further and further, your sense of self kind of goes, and then you just kind of collapse inwards. And I think you remember, like for quite a long while, I was not very functional at all in a very real sense.
No, I mean, you can do it as functions as you. I mean, it's not without effort, But like again, if you can only give 70% or 60% or 50%, that you can only give 100% of that, right? If that makes sense. But no,
I kind of get what you're saying.
I hope so. And also, like the caveat, your earlier comment, like we're not talking about negative stuff with autistic people as a block. I mean, this is our personal, this is our own lived experience. So
Yeah.
So if you're watching the army, don't take this.
Me, please. I'm good at jobs, I swear.
I mean,
but I think this is the thing, like the whole I think part of that fear that they have is that I'll just kind of have a meltdown in the middle of the battle and like start shooting my own side or something, which is not a realistic understanding of how anything works. And I think like one, I'm not applying for a frontline role. Two, we don't behave like 2-year-olds either. Like there is, you can be overwhelmed and have burnout as an autistic adult and like not hurt other people. Like this is a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, let's just also like put out. I mean, everyone gets burnt out. It's just for autistic people, it's a lot more of a thing. It's a lot more. And it also doesn't necessarily have to be a thing, right? We live perfectly normal lives. We can
apart
like
from the fact that our employment's incredibly low and we
75% of our autistic brothers and sisters in working age are not in full time or any employment.
I mean, it's more like 7 in 10 at the moment,
which is 70%.
Unemployed. Yeah, but what I'm getting at is like sorry, I know I keep interrupting you, which is part of the problem. But if you look at graduates, if you look at people our age with university degrees or college degrees for you American people, you're less, as I said before, you're half as likely to get a job in the first 15 months after uni than you are if you're neurodivergent, neurotypical. This is what happens when we record another hour and a half video for the US election for the Uncodified channel.
No, yeah, I mean, back to back, it's tough. But I mean, this reminds me of a talk I went to a few months ago. It's kind of a left-wing talk, a little thing. A lot of different speakers, and one of those talks was on sort of neurodivergence and capitalism, which is always a fun topic. I mean, it's a great name to you got to go to it,
Certainly, yeah.
But one of the speakers, it was surprising to me as well how many of the adult speakers there were diagnosed as adults as well. Maybe it shouldn't be a surprise to me, but a couple of them were women who were sort of recently diagnosed as adults, and there was one of the guys there, and he was saying a story of when every time he applies to a new job, he has to say, well, my neurodivergency gives me particular skills, right? I can do this good. I can, I can really focus down. And he gets a job with that perception of his neurodivergency, and then he ends up in the job, and a few months later he gets burnt out, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, my neurodivergency also gives me, some issues with how the workplace is structured. So I'm gonna require support.
Yeah.
And it's you're always playing it, and he said he was always playing this sort of same game with every new job he would take, and I kind of I felt that very strongly, because I also done the same thing when I applied to my current job, where I was like, well, I you have to declare that you don't have to, but like it's best you declare you're neurodivergent, and alongside declaring it, you usually kind of have to kind of say, it gives me abilities. Don't worry, I can be a good worker. I can function within your society. Please, take me. Um, and trying to convince people to take you because it gives you that sort of special edge or something. And then you realize you are as a neurodivergent person working in a workplace that is designed and run and occupied by neurotypical people, and it's can be overwhelming, can be exhausting as well, and you'll have to at some point either take a break or somehow get them to give you support for the same reason they employed you.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this is also the case with just the job application process.
Yeah.
Me and you have had so many discussions where I've basically complained to you about the fact that that all people want me to do is lie on applications, but not lie enough that they catch me. Like,
By the way,
because you have to.
we're not lying. Like, I just want you all to understand, we're not lying.
Well, no. But the whole point is that from my perspective, like, they want me to make myself seem as the best candidate possible. And like, no, I have flaws, but some of my flaws allow me to see the world in a different way, or they allow me to do this. And the thing is that if the entire system is predicated on us all pretending that we're perfect, but then when we're not, because nobody is, this.
Yeah, well, I do see what you mean. I mean, like, job interviews are always going to be like, you put your best self forward. You got your you have your adverts for products are never truly reflective of the product.
And the people aren't products, Charlie. I think that's part of the issue you're talking about.
No, in this society, in the socio-economic system, people are products. We are.
Well, that sounds very much like slavery, sir.
Our labor is our product, and we are the vessel for that product. And this is how it is. Like, as
so you ended the conversation with Marx. Let's continue.
Marx, yeah. I mean, it's Marxism. Another autistic trait, I can say.
and actual Marxism, not just like what Donald Trump calls Kamala Harris' policies of not letting people starve to death.
Yeah. Nasty woman. But like this is what job interviews are. But I think in a more targeted way. I mean, for autistic people. I mean, for me, everyone struggles, but I feel like as an autistic person, I really do struggle with the goddamn interviews, and it's more than I think I should do. More than I have reason.
There is a secret code of things that you can and cannot say. And, like, I remember when I applied for the OTC once, and I'm pretty sure this is what I didn't get in because I said I was autistic in the interview, but they didn't tell me that at the time. Because they basically said that everybody else didn't get in because they didn't engage enough, and I definitely engaged enough. Anyway, moving on from the point. The point is that I said to them that, like, they asked what my whole weaknesses, and I answered them honestly. Like, and this is the issue here. Like, I said, I have this problem. I struggle with social nuances, and obviously, apparently, you're meant to. This is what I'm saying by lying. You're meant to go, oh well, I have this weakness, but I can turn it into a positive because magically everything about me is magic.
I mean, is there social nuances in the army? I mean, isn't every interaction? Yes, sir. That's. Is there such thing as social nuances in the army structure? But
unfortunately, I don't have any personal experience to give you.
The real question is, did you look them in the eye?
Listen, I'm looking at you right in the eye right now, but what I'm actually doing is looking at myself in the eye and the top point of the camera. I'm not looking at you. The thing about eye contact is that so many doctors go, "You're looking at me in the eye, therefore you're not autistic." No, the issue is that we don't like it because it's very uncomfortable. It's very intimate
It's
for
lots
me
of
personally.
information in the eyes, you know. You get a lot of weird
Yeah,
stuff, you know.
and no, but you also get overwhelmed by it. It's
yeah,
overwhelming.
yeah.
But like I can look my parents in the eye, I can look my siblings in the eye, I can look you in the eye because we've been friends for years. I'm comfortable with it. I can't look strangers in the eye because it genuinely
I just
feels
thought I'd
far
guys.
too intimate. It's like someone come and gave me a hug who I'd never met before.
Yeah,
It's not.
God,
I
no,
feel like
that's something. Physical touch took me a long time to get comfortable with. Like,
yeah.
like I think it
Oh
was
no,
like
but I mean, but
17 or something, where I was accepting hugs, at some
oh no,
point.
when
Like,
I first started working at the local holiday camp,
mm,
um, one of the guys who was always very nice, his manager, always used to give me like grasp me on the shoulder, and I was always going like that.
mm,
But
yeah,
the thing is,
jump.
he was very nice. There was nothing like malicious about it or
No,
nasty
no,
or
yeah.
anything like that. It was just he was being very friendly,
Mm,
and it was once I got used to it, it was fine. I would do the same back or whatever. But at the initial stage of it, I was overwhelmed and didn't like it, and
mm.
because it's a oh, we're getting close to the childhood trauma that we promised at the beginning of the video.
Well, I guess we're we're getting to some meat here.
Yeah.
It ain't just veggies.
Yeah.
But I was gonna loop this back to the interview where it was like, oh yeah, like things like looking the person in the eye, right?
Yeah.
That's the expectation. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's the expectation. I mean, I've found with my interviews now, like I do look to the corner of the room, but like as if I'm trying to find the answer to the questions in the ether. And I don't think it looks like a sane person. But the
Could be a
alternative for
thing.
me is to look them very intensely in the eyes. And
Like
they
the
maybe, yeah, I mean,
neurotypical.
like, yes, I like your question. Let me answer your question. I've got something like, so it's
Yeah.
try to get the medium between those two.
Yeah.
It took a bit of practice. It took you know what it is. I don't know if you've done this when you were younger or growing up, but I used to practice in front of the mirror. Uh, quite
Oh no,
just like
I didn't do that. I was too stubborn. I just refused to conform. Um,
no, well, the rebel that you are. Yeah.
Oh no, but I mean, one thing my parents used to do is they used to threaten to record my own voice back to me because they always used to tell me I was very, very angry. We're talking about 10, 11 years old, whatever. And when I didn't realize that I was generally kind of really furious at them. But for me, I was talking at them normally. Like there is like the tone didn't register. I mean, of course,
Mm,
obviously I've learned it now, but these things take
yeah,
more time to learn. Is what it is.
yeah.
It's
If you're not forced really into a situation, it takes more time adapting adapting to sort of the body language you give, reading other people's body language. I mean, that's the
it's
fucking hell.
impossible. I mean, but this is like why I've like stayed clear of like ever asking anybody out because like there's just too many bloody nuances that I'm just going like it's a minefield. It was just to be clear, what I mean is that I've never asked anyone out because I don't want to cause. I don't want to overstep the line. I'm very very cautious about doing that.
So stuff, dating.
Oh no, that's big god. That's hell.
Yeah. Like reading people's body languages is tough. I found it very tough. I mean, I remember as I guess we're going down this way. I remember someone trying to really talk to me in a library at my school. I think that she really wanted to ask me out, and I knew it, and it was like intense anxiety. I think to the point I
Yeah, but I
escaped
mean,
somewhere else, and I built. I put like two books, massive books together to make a wall. I just like under the table, like I'm not doing this, uh, which is like kid behavior. But it was oh
ah,
god no. I mean,
well, I mean, my
I
experience in secondary school is that when people actually paid interest to me, which a couple of people did, I didn't believe them. I didn't trust them. I thought they were making fun of me.
this isn't right. This is not
Well,
how
no,
it's
but generally, like my whole experience of like primary school and the first few years of secondary school was just like constant bullying. with a couple of exceptions of people. And so I had this idea that I was living through like an American high school where the nerdy kid gets like this is how I understood like the situation I was living in. I was kind of going like,
I don't know.
American high schools. Thank you, disembodied
American
voice.
high schools. Thank God for Hollywood. Really just
Well, I mean,
perpetuating
this is, but you know,
weird
I was
high
under the
school
kind of,
stereotypes.
I mean, you know, from a very real perspective, like I know everyone kind of goes, the Sheldon Cooper idea isn't very realistic, but I did, you know, relate to the dude for quite a few reasons because you know I felt as you know I was very kind of nerdy, very interested stuff. Also, he had an overbearing religious mother, which I also related to. You know, it's the whole.
Go. I mean, it's a
I can say that
development.
she'll never watch this video. I keep asking her to. She doesn't.
No. That's a weird. I mean, I guess I never really got around to watching Big Bang Theory. I never felt anything towards Sheldon Cooper. Like,
No, but it's just I think I started watching it when I was like 11 or something, and I think like the whole because at that time like this is a real thing. Like I wouldn't say that I'm asexual now by any stretch of the imagination. If anything, I'm the complete opposite. But what I'm saying is that at the time it's always about like maybe 17. Like the idea of actually like talking to like actually engaging in like real life relationships was like absolutely not. Do not do it. Bad idea.
I mean,
And
I was
then like past 17, I've always been too bloody terrified.
I told myself, like, you're asexual. This is it. Nothing
No,
going
but
on.
it's just the whole idea that like, for instance, in the Big Bang Theory, that Sheldon could, you know, not be in a relationship and be happy. I think I understood that at a very deep level. Or he could be in a relationship and then not with Amy Fowler in later series and then not have to conform to the general norms of relationships. That was also very that I like.
Fuck norms, right?
You know, so this is me psychoanalyzing myself from like 10 years ago. So how accurate is a whole matter? Oh, hello, Diesel. Hello.
Dog. No, I mean, is there? Can you think of any like particular experiences that really like exemplifies the autistic experience, like experience growing up? Like what is the pinnacle moment where it's like, oh yeah, shit, that was a very, you know.
I mean, when my parents actually first told me that I had Asperger's, I did not like it immediately. My initial response was, "You're trying to say that something's wrong with me," and I think that's part of the problem because people trying to say it's done. People trying to say you're different, and that's bad. And I think the only reason we have to talk about is how it's different and it's good, and there are some things people need to understand about us. You know, it's like
not necessarily like good or bad, just different. You know, I mean, good and bad is relative to how society desires people to be, right? And well, yeah, it would be the opposite if the autistic people were the majority, you know. And it wouldn't be good that we give non-autistic people the same.
But you made a point here. The majority thing is really important because again, so many of the things that we have are problematic. There, especially like people have stronger sensory issues, you know, more issues with executive function, especially with like ADHD. The time blindness thing, I imagine, can be quite problematic.
Well, I'm in context. I am consistently late.
Yeah, I mean, you know, first lectures we were in together, you'd always be on time, 15 minutes late into a lecture. You'd always do it 15 minutes late.
It's 50 minutes for the things to get started, and you know, 50 minutes is a good time to make an entrance.
But my whole point is that like so much of our issues is that how we communicate is considered wrong, and people don't like us, and because you know we're talking 95% of the population who aren't neurodivergent. Because people don't like us, you know, we struggle to get jobs. We struggle to have relationships. We talk about, you know, you and I know that actually talking to another autistic person, we click like that. Like
I don't know if it's like not liking though. I mean, not clicking with someone.
Well, no, but I'm talking. No, but I'm not saying consciously. I'm saying that there are studies which show that when you ask,
you're less
when you ask neurotypical people to rate the likability of autistic people and non-autistic people, they always rate the autistic people as less likable or less strong or less intelligent or less brave or whatever else, or less dominant even. So this is why people don't get into politics. People think, but I mean, this is what I'm sort of getting at is that this doesn't have to be conscious bias for there to be a problem, which I think applies to a wide variety of different
many different things here. What was your point?
Well, I think my point is, you know, the fact that we're in a minority is maybe half the disability. Again, like I'm not saying there are people who find autism maybe more disabling than I do, but I think that's not accurate. I think it's just the traits. I don't know. There's traits and the spectrums are different. I don't want to tell anyone else that I don't want to delegitimize anyone else's experience. But but from my point of view, my point of view, the difficulty I face is the communication with the majority that because the whole idea, like for instance, the whole idea that we don't like change. But when you try to ask a neurotypical person to change society, they lose their mind. But when you ask a neurodivergent person to like change their pajamas into a different type of pajamas, they lose their mind. But I mean, this is me working with stereotypes here. But
yeah.
But my point is that you look at who makes huge social change. Greta Thunberg is autistic and really has made a whole point of pushing society to make effort on climate change.
And she also hates the institutions.
But I mean, let's not delve in too much into this. But you understand?
Yeah, I'm just vibing off the non-conformity thing.
Well, yeah. But the whole thing is we don't like change. Is that what I'm saying is neurotypical people and neurodivergent people both don't like change, but we don't like change in different ways. And because we are in the minority, the way we don't like change is wrong. But you understand my point about like the minority communication problems and the minority change problems and all that.
Yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, it makes sense. If more people understand your perspective, it wouldn't be so bad. But well, it's not the case. So you have to be louder and talk about it more. And educate more. Really. It really is the deal.
No, this is what I'm saying. Like again, like we had this whole conversation last night when we were talking about whether we should do this video or not. But when I met you and one of our other previous friends, we'd been knowing each other from class, but we met each other in the library and started talking. We started talking about 8 o'clock in the evening, and we kept going until like 2 o'clock in the morning because we just non-stop. Started going onto various different rabbit holes and great concepts about society and whether or not we should eat grass or not. That was a big thing, but.
But when you click, it's like thunder. It's honestly, it's suddenly time doesn't matter. Suddenly your energy is just it's boundless. It's conversation is like this. It really is non-stop, and it doesn't matter for any continuity. It's you just go on, and it feels like the most natural thing.
Yeah. Sorry. This is what I'm saying though. It's like we are not bad at talking to other people necessarily. It's just that because this is how chronic loneliness is, that because 97% of the other population aren't autistic or so let's say 97% because that's the top estimate of the UCL stuff. But anyway, we don't interact with many people who are autistic on a daily basis, and therefore we feel isolated consciously, subconsciously, and whether people want to or not, it happens. Whether people, I don't want people to get the wrong idea that I'm saying that like neurotypical people are nasty to us necessarily.
They can't have insane conversations, mate. No, we're not saying any of that stuff.
No, of course not. But what I'm saying is that there is an isolating factor. There is you don't conform. That's bad. There's
not an overt. There's never an overt thing. I mean, unless people like just.
I mean, there is like sometimes.
Sometimes, right? Sometimes there is. I mean,
like Kimmy Badenoch something the other day.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, and there's also more than that. It's true. It's her and her kind of people, and like autism speaks.
Yeah, the largest
autism kills you faster than cancer.
The largest charity in North America is like wants to like make sure we're never born in the first place.
Yeah, the American solution is just eugenics. It's to type there. Well done, America.
Again, I've covered this in other episodes.
Yeah, it's true, but it's worth saying again. Yeah. Fuck you guys.
You didn't realize like half my YouTube is from the US, right?
No, I mean not fuck America, like fuck autism speak and
Yeah.
fuck you. You know, no, I've got no problems with Americans. I mean, with some Americans, yes, the same way I got the problems with some people in this motherfucking country. But if you're a bigot, fuck you or learn.
It's very subjective. We're allowing the people to decide whether they're bigots themselves. This is very
No,
egalitarian of you.
it's like, have
I
you
identify as a bigot.
have you ever like I remember university and meeting so many psychology students who were autistic but refused to believe that they were autistic.
But I think while there is a whole thing about recognizing people,
Yeah.
I don't think you can necessarily just diagnose by
No,
yourself.
no,
Go, haha,
of
you,
course,
I recognize myself in you, therefore you are me. I don't think that works.
no, that's
Um,
true. That's true. You can't do that. But I mean, I am, although quite sure. I mean,
but there was this. We did have a mutual friend for a while who basically convinced themselves that they weren't autistic because, after all, even though they were more
yeah,
stereotypical than we were, and
I don't think that was true. I think he was manifesting some idea in his head. Um,
well, he's like, I've spoken to my
the
doctor,
very
and
Yeah, my
uh,
doctor wife says that's not natural.
what?
I'm sorry, I'm
What
sorry.
does
My
the
my
doctor
mind
say?
went Ben Shapiro.
Well, but yeah, he wasn't Ben Shapiro. Let's be fair, and let's also not name the dude because we don't speak to him anymore. But the
No,
point would be unfair.
but no, it's like the denying autistic.
But I think this is a problem with our society, though,
Yeah,
because people
we
don't
believe
want to
it's
be.
just negative. Yeah, you don't want to be. You don't want to be
Yeah,
labeled
and
with it because the label is
I
still
think that's
negative.
part of the problem because if people if it's stigmatized, if it's a full negative thing, I don't know. You understand what I'm saying, but I'm not making a decent point here.
No, no. I mean, yeah. And that was the consistent, um, consistent reasoning or excuse that multiple people that I was convinced were autistic and were denying very strongly they're autistic, and they've been told their entire life that they're autistic. They all have a very similar understanding of autistic. I cannot be autistic because autism is associated with all these negative things, and I am not that, and I refuse to believe that I am these, socially negative things. I'm
Yeah,
just, different in that. So there is definitely that still going on, and you like to think, with people who are,
I mean,
20s. Yeah, we like to think things would have been a little
it
bit
wasn't
better.
even just a few years ago that like I was talking about being autistic on Facebook. My mum saw it and said, "Oh, you don't want to do that. That will harm your prospects." And at the time, I was quite cross with her because I was
Mm,
like, "That's really nasty of you. You're saying that I shouldn't talk about who I am." But
mm.
actually, looking back on it, she was sort of right because people really do have this negative view of autism, even though I personally think I should say it anyway.
Yeah. Did you
It's
did you
even
did
though
you
I should.
ever did you ever get the thing where your school would insist that you have to stand in front of the class and talk about it? Like,
Actually, no, I
you
did it to
must
myself.
educate. We have to
No.
force
I did that to myself in year six of primary school.
you. Yeah.
I wanted to talk to other people being autistic, so I basically got permission to hold my own separate like little assembly where I just kind of
Mm,
talked about it, talked about me and diagnosis. But then my the teaching assistant, who also happened to be my enabler, who used to like take me out like judo or
mm.
whatever, insisted that then I should have an underlying point to this, which I didn't have. I was just talking about me being different
But you are
to
the
people
point.
who, who I was friendly with. And so I ended up having to say something like, "Oh, maybe you should everyone should help each other or whatever."
Mm,
And I felt pressured to infer authority to like do social good to my friends, and then my friends
mm.
were like, my mum said I shouldn't have to do this. This was never my idea. This is my teaching
This is
assistant
not
saying that I should
homework.
imply a higher meaning to just me
Mm,
talking about myself. Like that was
yeah.
a
I remember distinctly, and for me, it was I didn't want to do. I don't want anything to do with it. I was going to. I didn't want to show myself. I also did experience bullying at school. Back then, I had Tourette's. you know, which is
did you actually?
yeah, diagnosed full Tourette's. I was, with the verbal and
I mean,
physical tics,
yeah.
both together. Unconscious tics. Um, but my this is in secondary, it's like early secondary school, and the teachers are convinced. Oh, it's a Senko kid as well. Um, British audiences will know what that means. Like it's like this special need. I was putting like special needs things in school for a bit. Um, but I was my teachers insisted saying, oh, we get some of the school administration is like, ah, you should get in front of the class and talk about your experiences. I don't want to do that. I don't want to like make myself more of a target.
Yeah.
But it's the
Again,
insistence that you, as like it's now your job to like fucking teach everyone this experience that they won't really understand or know,
the
and
irony is
it's
that's exactly what we're doing right now.
which we're doing right now. But like we're adults,
Yeah, I'm aware of this. I understand the social nuances, which is ironic to me. But
yeah. But like back then, it was just like all the pressure was not really on educating themselves. It still isn't really like,
they
but
expected
like you
everyone
are
to
put
take steps in this
as a
issue.
yeah, as a young kid, who's extremely anxious and prone to breaking down with these kind of situations, and like, oh yeah, get in front of the class, and some of these kids already fucking are mean to you. Yeah,
I
talk
mean, I think
about
this
how
problem,
different you are.
problem is
You
that
know?
the teachers themselves probably didn't understand very well.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, they teachers don't usually don't talk. I mean, all about this kind of stuff. But I mean, I feel like we should be changed. I mean, more and more people are diagnosed. I mean, more women now being diagnosed as well. We find people have finally accepted that women can have and autism as well. And,
Yeah.
um, eventually, I mean, there's still so much to really so much to catch up on when it comes to that. So the gender expression of autistic traits. Um,
Yeah.
oh,
I don't know how to express this without repeating myself or repeating myself in future. But we've basically become a cudgel for the right wing to like attack trans people. Like
oh
this
God,
is,
yeah,
I think that's what you
yeah.
were talking about, right?
No. I was talking about like um, autistic traits manifesting in like sort of
When you're
a
saying
lack of
gender,
diagnosis for women
yeah.
rather than men. Like 'cause traditionally, it's like
Yeah.
men. The focus of diagnosis was on
Well, no, but
boys.
this is again. My parents told me that it was very, very unlikely that there'd be autistic women, and but then also telling me that I could only. Again, this is one thing. My mum isn't the best when it comes to talking to me very well because, like, on one hand, she's kind of going like, oh, there are like no autistic girls. On the other hand, you can only date
Mm.
autistic people, and also you can't be gay. Like, I was like, but who will love me?
What is this twister you're making me do?
Yeah, we're talking about like me
um,
being like maybe 10 or 11 or something. This is just a
mm,
while back. I'm not. I don't want to imply my mum's homophobic or anything. I'm just
no,
I grew up going to like a Church of England primary school, so that makes kind of sense.
2000s was
Being
very
gay was just a
homophobic
was
era
just an
anyway.
insult.
That's
It wasn't even a
yeah,
sexuality. It was just
yeah.
an insult at that point.
Like everyone was calling each other gay. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that was like the peak times for that. People still fucking do it these days as well. But no, I was talking about the lack of a focus on women and girls. I mean, which is a very broad and basic explanation is that, well, they tend to be better at masking, right? Women, neurotypical or not, neurodivergent or not, just are taught to be more masky
Yeah.
and take more self-control and all this sort of social bullshit we get from having a
Yeah.
patriarchal society. um
Yeah. Yeah, that's the
so,
classic. Like you leave a baby in a room, you change whether it's wearing pink or blue clothes, and then the people who are looking after them play with them with different toys. And like
yeah,
this is like, and that's the whole thing. This is but people
but
talk about
it's
fundamental sex differences. They're
yeah,
bullshitting out their ass
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's
But again,
there are no
that's impacted heavily, like autistic autistic experiences there as well, and the rate of
But this is what like the whole kind of concept of gender. I was till I was about kind of maybe 11 or 12. I was still kind of like questioning, like like am I a dude?
well,
Like
like
not because I was
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if anyone is autistic and watching this, and has opinions about it, please do add to the chat.
well, yeah, there'll
Because
be many opinions, mostly from transphobes. But the point is, what I'm saying is like I
well,
always
you
had very long
guys can
hair
go fuck
because
yourselves as well.
I had very long hair and I had sensory issues about cutting my hair. I didn't let people do it. I still have a ponytail now and just balding, so I have the hat on. But the point is, um, point I get is that like people used to bully, like especially when like when we went down to the Harvest Festival, and then like the vicar thought it was a girl when I answered the question like
Huh.
that. When a bit, and I was telling my mum about this, and she was like, "Oh well, my mum's not coming across well in this. I probably should talk about." I was talking about it. I was going like, "Oh well, they think you're a girl because you have long hair." So I said, "Well, maybe I'm a girl." She's like, "Well, no, you're not a girl." I'm like, "Why not?" And like, 'cause I have long hair. Like, what I'm
Yeah,
saying
that's very
what I'm
like.
saying is that my understanding of gender was
Mm.
less important than whether or not I could have long hair. Like this was,
No, yeah. As a kid, I mean, it's fucking hair. Sure,
I
society
didn't
has
come
things about long and short hair and all that kind of bullshit, but it's
only
as a
about 2 years old at most. Like
mm,
it's like you go to Byron and all of a sudden it's all stockings, coats, wigs, and
yeah. But then they also had their issues. No, yeah, but then stuff like that is a very recent modern thing. Short and long hair and what different styles, different clothes. It's all very capitalist.
you were talking about capitalism and stuff, and I'm kind of going like, you know what, not great. But then again, also but then
So
again, like
I was
Soviet
gonna,
command
mhm.
economy is also probably not great either because the
Yes, it
Chancellor of
appeals to my
Authority.
autistic brain. It
No,
all
but
makes
well,
sense and is structured. Um, uh,
I'm saying, you know what I'm saying,
yeah.
like the challenging of authority is the thing. It's not like we just go no to everything, although that is part of a thing. It's more,
Well,
we actually
I would
question
say
how
that was
society
a
works.
bit broad because I mean there's plenty of people I've met who are autistic who are like they are like die hard like the system is how it is because it must be and it cannot be changed and this is it. I mean I don't want to paint like all autistic people to be the non-conformist system questioning people. I mean
But no, but they fit in. I don't know. Again, this is like
um
the
but
most problem of us talking about our own personal experiences and
yeah.
then also kind of generalizing a bit. But
Yeah, but like, I mean, there is also, I mean, with the people I hang out I tend to end up in invariably hanging out with people who are neurodivergent quite a lot, and we will consistently, very anti-establishment. But again, that's you know, I like to think most of us are anti,
but I'm not talking about it from a left versus right perspective.
No,
I'm
no, no, no,
talking
no, no,
about
no,
it
no.
from a
Like basic shit. Like
why.
why was the I can't even find an example.
Well, okay, let's put it this way. I wanted to when I was 7. I wanted to go to my great grandfather's funeral, and they said, "Oh, we couldn't do that." And I asked why, and one parent was going, "Well, you just because we've said so," and I wasn't taking that. So I
Mm.
kept asking why until the other parent goes, "Actually, because you ask lots of questions, and maybe questions isn't the best time to go to a funeral." And I accept that because people actually ask the question. What I don't do is accept blind authority. If people actually have an answer
Mm.
to a question, they understand why they do the things they do, and it makes sense to me, then fine. But so oftentimes people go, elbows on the table, it's rude. Why is it rude? Well, I actually don't know. I've just been doing what my parents told me and their parents told
Yeah,
them.
I was on the table.
Like,
I don't know what the fuck is wrong with that. Was on the table.
I think originally, quite a while ago, putting elbows on tables was a problem because, like, I don't know, the cloth would wear out on your elbows or something. It was an issue
Uh,
to tell rude. Or maybe it was because the upper classes didn't like it or because it was taking up space on the table. I don't know. The point being though is
mm.
that nobody actually knows the answer to the reasons why they
Yeah,
do the things they do. And
it's a lot
when we
of like.
question it, they get
Mm.
very defensive
Yeah, there's a lot
because
of
they
like
don't understand
bullshit
them.
stuff in society. That's sort of the unquestioned rules that no one really. Like, what's the point of buying these things? Elbows on the table, but like yeah, and there's no real reason why we should have it. So it's good. It's good question. There's no sensible reason why. I mean, handshake. I mean, now it's normal as well, but like certain conventions. I don't know. Give me some conventions that are unnecessary. I'm running out of brain juices here, man.
Brain juice is going for me too. But the whole thing of hello, how are you? I'm fine, thank you.
Mm.
And you? No,
Oh
that's
yeah.
what you do when you're learning French in year 7. That's not what you do when you actually have an actual conversation with someone. But if you tell someone says, "How are you?" and you say, "Actually, I'm not that great," they go, "Oh, I can't. I don't know how to handle this." And obviously, this is not universal to all of civilization. It's just British rules, right?
Yeah.
Or if you go to America, you go, "Oh, I'm howdy doody. I'm fine. Oh, what a wonderful, splendid day." You're like, you're overdoing it, but you understand that you're faking it, right? You understand that this is not how you feel all the time. Like,
Gotta be go get it, go happy.
but it's like one time when I went into the student union shop at our uni, and I went in there and I wanted to buy a hoodie, and then the woman was trying to sell me the jumper so much that I honestly I was uncomfortable because I thought she was flirting with me. She was overdoing it. She wasn't flirting with me. She was just doing the whole sales thing so much.
Yeah.
It was completely over the top.
Well,
And but apparently this is what people want. I'm going to go and like.
I don't know. I think she's really want to get those sales. I don't know if she gets commission. Maybe she gets commission. You know,
I don't know, but what I'm
trying to
saying
get the targets. You know,
that,
maybe she loves the
it
uni.
seems to me that like the experience of being neurotypical, just pretending all the time, because to not pretend would be to break the conventions.
Yeah.
And like you look at how much things have changed. You watch Downton Abbey, and you watch how many things have changed in our society over the last 100 years, which everybody thought was set in stone, like not having babies outside of marriage, not being gay, not like the social movement of the upper classes, or the everything else, like the deference to lords or whatever else. The whole thing is collapsed. But 100 years ago, it was solid, stuck in a stone, never going to move. Maybe 120 years
ago. And these are kind of big things, though. I mean, like when it comes to such small conventions, why do we shake hands and stuff? It's
because clearly we want to spread the germs and make other people feel uncomfortable by squeezing hands so much.
Yeah. Why? What's with the hugging and stuff? Which is
again. I think on a very different level. I think you're overgeneralizing there now. I think you're doing it because I think everyone wants human social connection. I think.
No, I understand human connection. But I'm not a robot. But
asking people what their boundaries are can also have minefields. People assume the worst sometimes.
Like seeing someone is upset and then feeling like you should probably ask them if they're okay. I that was something I took a long time to understand and learn. Like these sort of unwritten rules. Like maybe you should show concern.
I don't know, but so like I mean I kind of still do it to a little bit, because what I tend to do is, if I know somebody's ill and I can't do anything about it because I'm say 200 miles away, there's very little point in me going, I hope you feel better soon, because I do. And it's like I have to remember, like, people don't know what's in my brain sometimes, but it's also, it's just like it almost feels fake to go, hello, how are you? I hope you're feeling better soon. These things are also generically scripted.
And they're learned
to
as
say
well.
it feels wrong. I think this is where we get into like the need to get around small talk.
But that depends how you see it, though, because you can like, hello, how are you? You can actually mean how are you. You can actually want to know.
I know, but what I'm saying is that it seems to me like so much of I do not find social connection in going, hello, how are you? Oh, I'm fine, thank you. Some people apparently like it's how we become friends, but like, if you want to talk to, again, my dad's parents, I love them, but they sometimes just wind me up because they kind of just talk about the grocery shopping for an hour and a half, and I kind of go, I have nothing to add to this. You're talking about people who I've never met, and I don't about things which are incredibly like normal but everyday things. And if you talk to me about history, philosophy, religion, politics, you talk to me about sociology, you talk to me about geography, for goodness sake. You talk to me about something in-depth questions, something you care about. It doesn't really happen that I'm particularly interested in. But if you want to talk to me about horses for an hour and a half straight, I'll listen to you about horses for an hour and a half straight.
Well, okay. Small talk. We've touched on that one. Small talk, infuriating. I don't know if this is like a widespread thing with autistic people, but like small talk. How many of you guys? How many of you guys really love it? How many? As a I've always found it challenging to the point where, like, if you're stuck in a small talk situation for more than 5 minutes, I choose to bail. like, I gotta get out, man. This is not good. There's nothing going on. You feel like you're constantly. This is, if there was a hell, it would be a situation where you're stuck in perpetual small talk.
I feel like my
Trying to figure
mind actually turns to mush though. I feel like
Yeah.
my brain sort of breaks down. I feel my social battery going out.
Yeah.
But it's the weird thing is that if I have to pretend to act in ways that I think other people want me to, which I don't understand, and I'm guessing, and then I've got this constant anxiety of what if I do the wrong thing here? And I'm constantly like low level stressed the entire time. But if I just talk to you constantly about who's gonna about the geopolitical situation in the Middle East or whatever, I can do that for an hour and a half,
Yeah. It's
and I'll still be tired at the
our
end
mutual
because
interest.
well, no, it's not mutual interest either. It's if someone wants to tell me, as I said, about horses, about I don't know,
Or if I talk about cows, or
maybe not. But the point is,
I mean, I could talk about
no,
cows.
but I mean,
Freezing cows
if
are
some,
great. Like Highland
if
cows,
people
be fascinating.
if people care about something deeply and it's
You want to
and
know what they
they
care about?
know a lot about it
Like,
and they
yeah.
want to talk about it, they want to teach me about it, I can do that.
I'd happily listen to people talk about like niche interests. Give me getting into a meter conversation. I'm talking about something.
Even when Hibber started talking about Flushed Away the other day, I was like, yeah, I'm with this. It's good.
Yeah, let's go with Flushed Away. Great fucking film.
Yeah.
Amazing film. Great. Lots of
Or
cameos.
when Jacob starts chatting to us about like ancient Roman and Greece, I wasn't particularly into it for a while, but in order to like keep up with him, I started learning ancient Roman and Greece, and I love it. But
or I meet your friend talking about grass. I knew fuck all about grass. I was listening to that for quite a long time. I fucking loved it.
he kept trying to get us to go vegan, but that was a whole thing.
I mean, ain't nothing wrong with going vegan.
No,
But
not necessarily, but it was just like he was like, "Here, have a nut bar." Like, okay, thank you. I'm still
take a
gonna have
nut bar.
bacon when I get home.
Bacon. But
Yeah.
but like, yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. You don't have to know the topic, but it's yeah, a conversation where it's not like something that person is interested in and is just stuck on small talk is not a real conversation. It's as far as my mind can comprehend it.
Also, we're constantly told not to talk about the thing. It's considered rude to make the conversation about us by talking about things we're interested in. But like, actually, but surely talk about things we're interested in and then ask them what they're interested in. Surely that's how a conversation works, not just, oh, how wonderful your child got into secondary school. They're 11.
Yeah.
What a surprise! Like,
well, I mean, it can be, you can be supportive. I mean, it's logical empathy. It goes like, oh yeah, you're proud of your kid.
Yeah, but
Good
Charlotte,
on the kid.
I'm picking it off the top of my head when I was informing the sense. So I'm not saying that I wouldn't be interested in talking about these things, but they have to like, I don't know, have a point to them. They have to, they have.
It's gotta go somewhere, man. I think you mentioned something that actually rang a bell in my head. And now I have to try and find the thing. Let me look in the corner of the room. See if the ether speaks to me. So, showing empathy to people or showing that you understand people, I constantly had the problem where people would accuse me of talking about myself quite a lot, and I never really thought about like that I'm talking about myself. But I have always like when people say something, I say, "Oh yeah, I felt that this in this example." I never thought of that about that as, "Oh yeah, I'm changing the conversation to talk about myself." I always thought of it, "Yeah, I'm giving you an example of how I'm empathizing with you.
That you understand the
Showing
situation.
understanding, yeah." By giving this example, or I show, but that's several times I've been told quite a lot at one period in my life where it's like I'm being selfish, and it's always struck me as like shit. At first I was offended. I've got I got quite a I don't know if offend is the right word, but
I think
sort of
it
convince
is.
yourself, are you a psychopath? Are you actually that selfish, self-centered? And you really no. Every time you do it, it's I don't know if it's a common thing. I've read that it's a common thing.
No, it's an incredibly common thing. You go through any sort of like autism Instagram pages everywhere, and what I mean by what it is it's just how we show empathy. Everyone talks about how rude it is. Everyone talks about like how self-centered, whatever else. But to say no, okay, you've told me about the problem. Yes, I understand it. Here's when it's happened to me. I care about this. I'm with you. I get it.
Yeah.
How is that better than just going, yes, yes,
Yeah.
I'm very sorry about that.
Bro. It sounds like look, like we're giving each other a whole like reason why we understand and why you should trust that we understand that we're on the
And then
same
maybe you
page
go,
here, man.
and maybe sometimes that goes into giving advice. Like, this is what happened when I happened to me.
Yeah.
Surely that's normal behavior. I
Cool.
know it's not. I understand that I'm in a minority, so it's not normal behavior, but it can't be. It can't be malicious, can it? I think it can't. I mean, what do you do instead exactly
Yeah, but I've
in that situation?
constantly
You just go.
yeah. That's
You
a
go,
good, that's a
oh
good
no,
point.
I'm very sorry. That's very sad. I'm not going to actually like help you with this. I'm not going to try and make you feel better about the situation. I'm just going
Well,
to kind of.
I've had to really deeply think like in future examples because I've been told so much how like I'm making everything about me when someone says something I want to say like I want to show empathy and it's like well this is proof of my empathy that I have to like drill it in my brain not to do that and just say yes I empathize.
But the thing is, this
I
is
feel you. That's tough.
Asperger called this autistic psychopathy. This has
Mm.
been going back 80 years.
Yeah.
It's
I've been convinced that
you
was
know
for a
you
time. I
when we
was
have
actually like,
conversations,
you are a psychopath.
or me, you, and Tom have conversations or whatever else, we do this all the time, right? We constantly go, yes, it's happened to me like this. We don't call each other out for this. We don't care. We don't feel personally offended by the other person sharing the experience. It's
No,
outside
because
the
we
bubble.
understand.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
it's not. We don't even really notice it until someone tells us off for making it all about ourselves.
yeah, and well, we know it's not. But it again. I guess that's the because that's the one of the big parts of the experience that will make people exclude you, will leave you a bit excluded from like making real close connections with people. It tends to be and get that as an understanding that it's if people know that that's how you show empathy then that is fine because and that should be supported but it's the fact that no one that's not really talked about that much and I mean yeah
And
it's
we have
spoken
to explain it
everywhere in
each
autistic
time.
forums.
And then some people still think we're lying. Some people still think we're
Yeah,
still making it about ourselves. And people
yeah, yeah,
get
yeah.
really offended and angry
But this is the stuff that
because
people should understand. There's different ways of showing empathy, and well, empathy is the back
I
empathy
think
and
sometimes
trust, the backbone to every
about empathy more
relationship.
broadly is sometimes so I want to change the conversation slightly. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. About before I forget, sorry, I know I'm interrupted you. See, this is a topic of autistic behavior. So, the thing is about empathy is that there's this whole thing about like cognitive empathy and like kind of like invisible empathy. Like
Ah, yeah.
we can understand obviously that someone is upset or that
Mm,
somebody is happy or somebody is worried about something or whatever, even
mm.
if it's not, even if we're not great reading body language, even if we're not great at tones. But the
Oh,
issue is
fuck
that
that.
figuring out why, and this can be so anxiety inducing because
Mm,
we also wonder, did I do the bad thing? Are people
mm.
cross with me or
Yeah,
is something else going on? And when you ask them about it, again, it's the whole you're making it all about you, how you care about I feel. But even if it
yeah.
doesn't get like that, if it's just like I constantly, I'm constantly terrified because I generally have lost friends that I've had for years
Mm,
because I said something without even really meaning to offend them, and
mm.
then and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
what I just want to get at is like we the idea that we kind of empathy is bullshit because I feel emotions very strongly. It can
Mm,
be
mm.
overwhelming. Like it can be, and
But
I care an
overwhelming can
awful
make it
lot. You know,
make you
if you
kind
watch
of.
look at my Facebook page, it's all about things that happen to people thousands of miles away. It's constantly
But
like
that
this
is
is
a different that
people.
is a different empathy than like in the moment empathy. Like you can have logical and you can have emotional empathy. Like you understand the situation is really bad, it's injustice being committed. But there's also like the empathy of the moment. Like you see something or
I
someone
feel
says
the
something.
emotions. I care about individual people. This is not an issue. The issue is that I don't know why people are upset, and I don't know how to fix the problem.
Yeah.
And
And well,
I feel useless
large
not being
part
able
of it
to,
sometimes
and
usually there's
because
no
I can't
fix.
fix the problem, I
Yeah.
can't be a good friend, or at least that's
Yeah.
how I think of myself.
Yeah, I've had many situations where it's like, well, I can't fix the problem, so or if I or rather than sort of empathizing with a situation, I end up going, well, you could do this, this, and this. No,
And
but like
because
I think there is something in society where we reproduce some sort of autistic traits, as in like which are not really autistic traits. I mean, yeah, again, we struggle with showing empathy. It's not the lack of empathy. It's how to show empathy. However,
in a
is
neurotypical manner.
construed. Yeah,
Okay. Well, we've been going for about an hour. I'm feeling tired. Are you feeling tired?
the recording of this says 3 hours. I'm
No,
pretty
no,
sure.
no. That's the whole thing with the other hour and a half video.
Oh, okay. So it's about an hour and a half of this.
Was there anything else you wanted to add before we finish off, Charlotte?
Maybe I should have like had like a list of points that I can add.
No,
Like,
because then it gets too close to a script, and then I start getting very particular about it, and then you start going, "Nah, it doesn't really matter," and I go,
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, this is a working, learning curve. I enjoyed this actually.
"Oh, it's a good conversation." Well, again, thank you for listening to the end, friends. I don't imagine you have, but if you have, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Please leave comments. Please make them nice comments, and thank you very much.
If you leave bad comments, the autism police will find you. Just me.
Goodbye, guys.
I'll be there.
Hello, friends. It is I, Samuel, and welcome back. Today, I thought we'd try something a bit different,
And
and we'd have
EJ. Oh, well, sorry. Okay, sorry. Oh, this is your channel. I forgot. Start again. I'm sorry. I forgot what channel it was.
I'm going to start again.